Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. Thanks for joining the channel. I'm Sterling. Great to have you here. This show is being recorded for August 22nd, 2021. And remember, these shows are for entertainment purposes only. All the information that you hear here or is expressed comes through my guides and angels, my extended team, my counsel, and so it's all for entertainment purposes only. First, want to announce the winners of the contest. We did achieve 18,000 subscribers to the channel. So I want to thank everybody for all the participation and all the good wishes and all the subscribers. So let's get right into it. The winner of the free reading with Linda Grindle is Mason D. Chung. That's C-H-U-N-G out of Hawaii. That's Mason D as in David Chung out of Hawaii. And the winner of the free reading half-hour session with myself is Katie Poore, last name spelled P-O-O-R-E. So congratulations to Mason and to Katie. The best way to get your free half-hour session scheduled is to email our office team, info@sterlingpsychicmedium.com. That's info@sterlingpsychicmedium.com. And then our office team will take care of getting everything scheduled, including helping to make the arrangements with Linda. So congratulations. A couple of quick items. If you find these shows and this channel helpful, please remember to like, subscribe, share, turn on the notification bell. It really helps the back end algorithms with YouTube and really helps the channel. I also frequently get asked questions about closed captioning. We always make an effort to create closed captioning for the channel and have them turn on automatically. It's very easy if you don't need closed captioning. It's a quick menu setting, both in the mobile app and on any streaming box you're using like Apple TV. Just look for the CC icon and then you can toggle it to off. So the default for us, we do try to turn them on automatically for everybody. So that's kind of a quick footnote about closed captioning. So one other item, on Sunday, August 22nd, I'll also be doing a show with Lilac Lantern. That's Andrea from Lilac Lantern. And Linda Grindle, the Comanche Psychic, will be doing another Dead Famous show where each of us will bring through 3 famous people from history. And that's going to be recorded and then deployed up on Andrea's channel, Lilac Lantern. So you can look for that. So thanks very much. So now let's get into the top 35 countdown of today's show. So number 35, did 45 release the Taliban leader from prison and attempt to invite them to DC at the request of Putin? Yes, this is all done as part of a larger master plan to allow Putin and Russia to understand what the right strategy was for Russia once the U.S. started a withdrawal plan. So yes, this is all laid out in advance to give Russia some advanced planning. Number 34, did 45 and Pompeo have a plan to exit out of Afghanistan to benefit themselves and other countries? Yes, this was a predetermined way to funnel like resources and cash to offshore banks and then to route to various people in the U.S. So this is all part of an exchange program, if you will, for resources and cash to offshore banks and then filtered to people here in the U.S. Number 33 in the top 35 countdown, Afghanistan is sitting on a few $1 trillion in mineral assets. Is Russia paying off the Taliban and the ex-president to later gain access to those minerals for profit? Yes, but here's what's interesting. What I get on that from my group is that, resources were only half the story, let's say, for Russia. And the other big part of the story is a nuclear arsenal and a strategic nuclear-based deployment in Afghanistan that's strategically important to Russia. So my big concern for the U.S. is to strategically stay connected to Afghanistan, understand what's going on with whatever resources are available, because there's a nuclear strategy here for Russia that the U.S. Needs to be very careful of. Number 32 in our countdown, is there another benefit that countries are looking at other than mineral assets that make Afghanistan desirable? Well, it's funny, we actually just answered this question, but it's nuclear storage and a nuclear base and deployment and strategic control in that region that's important to Russia. 31. How will the departure, the pullout from Afghanistan impact the Afghanistan people, President Biden, and the Democrats? You know, what I get on that is that President Biden moved out very, very quickly because he actually got some advance notice there was going to be a bloodbath in that region. And I still think a lot of this is connected. What they're telling me is to Russia. So there's some advance notice that the clock was ticking, needed to get individuals out of Afghanistan quickly, and that's why it was rushed. So the answer to this question is, once some of that information, a lot of the information gets out as to what force the hasty withdrawal from Afghanistan, that'll bring more rationale into the whole scenario. And I do feel like Biden is going to come out of it okay, but a lot of information is going to come out as to what drove that hasty withdrawal. And in fact, it was Biden trying to save a bloodbath. Okay, number 30 in our top 35 countdown. Does our government and others have undercover folks left in Afghanistan to track the movements of the Taliban and also help the women and girls left behind to the Taliban? No, not necessarily, but the U.S., we're being told, does have a very large group of spy satellites to track movement in that area of the world. And so as a first leg of defense or intelligence, if you will, a lot of the spy satellite technology is going to be used. And then we'll eventually be able to get people back on the ground in various capacities back in Afghanistan, not necessarily troops, but people that understand how to work through the system and help secure some of the interests there of the U.S. in terms of security and defense against, nuclear arsenals and things of that nature. We're 29. Will Russia be able to knock out the U.S. space defense system? No, but what has happened just through the last administration, there have been a lot of secrets revealed and released to the world regarding U.S. capacity and our defense systems and where assets are based. So the U.S. is going to have to work harder and smarter, absolutely, to make it harder for other countries that are unfriendly to us to understand where our defense assets are. So Russia won't be able to knock out the U.S. space defense system, but it's going to require some work on the back end here with the U.S. to move around assets and make it more difficult and be able to mount the type of defense that's required. We're 28 in the countdown. What is the energy around the country of Haiti and its people that they can't seem to catch a break? How will the recovery of Haiti go? So that struggles for the next few years for me, for Haiti. But interestingly enough, I do see Haiti in just the next few years here being the benefactor of green technology. So it looks to me like there'll be various nations around the world that will start to make investments in Haiti around green technology. So not only generation of energy, but also production of green technology elements. So Haiti is going to benefit a bit by the shift in the world economy towards green technology. I think that'll be very helpful, not only for the nations that invest, but for Haiti. Number 27. When will Trump followers finally turn away from him? What will be the catalyst for them? So they're never going to officially turn away from him, but you're going to see the numbers drastically increase over the next 12 to 18 months. And the reason that's going to happen is that there's really the outgrowth of what happened with the pandemic and the way it was mismanaged, along with the fact that a lot of offshore money and power will be removed from 45. So you won't have the same kind of prominence and ability to leverage individuals. So over the next 12 to 18 months, you'll see a significant decrease in people that are actively supporting him, the numbers of people. Or 26, if the soul leaves the body a few days before death, what's animating the body? So in all cases, the soul has the choice to leave the body at almost any time. Some may wait up to the very end that the physical body gives out. Some may start the process 4 days before, and spirits may move in and out of the body depending on family members that might be around. They may somehow still want to be around. But once the spirit leaves the body, and many times I've seen anywhere from 2 to 4 days before actual physical death, there can be electrical stimulus, electrical impulses in the body, if you will, that seem to make it animated, but your loved one's spirit has already moved on. So hopefully that answer helps. Number 25, when we reincarnate into being human, is each soul dominant, male or female? So neither one. Souls are pure energy, and you can choose to display yourself in any way that you want, male or female, on the other side, or when you come down to Earth. I think the question was when you incarnate down on Earth. But this is all based on a free will choice and part of your life blueprint. So the answer is you're pure energy, love, pure energy, soul, but you can certainly incarnate into any male or female energy you like. Number 24. Sterling, will we ever be able to teleport like in the television show Star Trek? Yes, our ET friends are already doing this. They've already mastered that technology. For human beings on Earth, we're probably still like 100 years out. So for all of us here right now, it's probably not going to take place in our lifetime. But this will be, there'll be developments around what I call mapping, molecular technology and atom technology, and kind of mapping the human composition, and then developing new techniques for transmitting those maps and then reassembling another place. All this may sound very advanced, and it is, but what you're going to see here is that as time goes on, the advancements in technology will occur 10 and sometimes 100 times faster than we've seen in prior years, because new technologies build off of new technologies. So for example, we get into quantum computing, which in some cases can run faster than real time. You know, quantum computing will certainly help with advancements in studies and research. So the answer is yes, but for human beings, it's about 100 years out for us. Number 23, is it possible to ask a spiritual being, such as a past loved one, guide, or angel, to manifest so we can see them? Certainly, very possible to ask them. But I'll tell you that it takes practice and some skill on the other side to produce a full apparition, so that somebody can really show themselves. The simplest form of showing someone from the other side is an orb, but it does take more energy and more skill if you're a spirit on the other side to show yourself as a full apparition. So the answer is yes, you can ask, and a lot of it depends on the skill of the loved one. And as time goes on, your loved ones may in fact get better and better at being able to do that for you if you ask them to do that. Number 22. You have mentioned gene splicing several times. Will this treatment form be affordable for all, or just for the wealthy? Yes, I've seen this many times. Widespread availability for gene splicing and gene editing technology within 10 years. And the reason it's going to be wildly available is that, you know, it's going to be a market-driven, so, you know, a for-profit application, so that once the technology is developed, you'll have companies behind these technologies. Obviously, you want to get them out to the largest market base they can. So yes, they'll be available to the population at large, not just the wealthy. Number 21, when ETs finally show themselves, can we count on them to help keep the world safe from those that want to cause harm? Yes. In fact, they're already doing this right now. So ETs are really, you know, engaged in many areas throughout the world and in many nations, and they've already helped stop, you know, world destruction several times now. There's actually some very well publicized near nuclear accidents and nuclear war that could have started. They've already helped. So they can help to keep the world safe, and they already are. Number 20, our top 35 countdown, is a subconscious past life memory of having been either male or female the cause of gender incongruity between the mental and physical state in people who identify as trans? Yes, well, you know, simply put, this is whenever you come down here and you set up your master blueprint, you actually set up all those things on your master blueprint. So there's no confusion with a past life memory. It's actually, if you came down to experience some male and female energy in any way that is, maybe it is a trans experience, then that's something that you pre-selected. So no confusion over, let's say, a past life memory. It's all part of what you wanted to experience when you came down here during this life cycle. Number 19, love to hear about the future of naturopathic medicine. What about the naturopathic approach of creating balance and harmony via holistic approach? Yes, so, you know, this is really going to start to accelerate over the next 5 to 10 years here. We're already seeing a great combination of what I'll call East and West medicine, Eastern and westernized approaches to medicine, but you're going to see a lot of the easternized approaches, which have to do with body, mind, soul, emotions, combined with scientific or westernized approaches to give you a better life experience for everyone. So big acceleration for me in the combination of naturopathic approaches over the next 5 to 10 years here. Absolutely. 18. What have the aliens been eating all this time they've been on Earth? Do they live off the land, or do they create their own food, or its combination? They live primarily off of algae-based organisms and plant organisms. So the whole family of algae-based organisms and plants is what they primarily sustain themselves with, as well as a lot of other types of unique plants they brought down here. And interesting enough, they do not consume meats. So meat is not something that's part of their diet. 17. Do parasites such as fleas, ticks, and mosquitoes have consciousness? Yes, all organisms on the Earth and the universe have a consciousness. They do. And everything in the universe has a purpose. So think about that for a while. I mean, everything has a purpose, absolutely, and a consciousness. Okay, number 16 in our countdown. With the green revolution and renewable energy sources, will mankind shift also to 3D printed construction of homes, which have organic fibers and graphene reinforcement? Yes, this is already being done worldwide, and there's an acceleration in all this technology that's going to come from solar panel technology and battery technology powering much larger scale 3D printers. So they'll be deployable in many areas of the world that are underdeveloped. So the answer is yes to all this. So much larger scale 3D printers, much more efficient, driven off of solar power. We're 15 in our countdown. Why have there been people who have died and come back saying they've experienced being in hell? So for me, when this sort of a thing points to someone who went through a very rather severe life review. So depending on what you occur here during this life, the life review is always meant for you to kind of experience the feelings of people that were around you and the feelings people had when you dealt with them. And it's really a learning lesson. It's not sure a punishment, it's a learning. But this person may have gone through a rather heavy life review, is what it sounds like to me. Number 14. Will there be a day when I wake up and not feel the chaos of the world? So the world will always have challenges, but the key is to tap into divine energy. And when you tap into divine energy, you tap into the love side of the equation of the universe, not the fear side. And you kind of ask yourself every day, what is it that I can do to kind of help the world move forward in love? When you do that, you won't feel as much chaos. Hopefully that helps. Number 13. If a person was famous in a past life, how can they tap into that energy and utilize their past talents in this current life? Well, you always use talents and things you learn in prior lifetimes as you come into the next lifetime. But the key is, what's interesting is that you may have chosen to be a famous person in a prior lifetime to better understand how to treat people, or how to relate to people, or how to raise people's energy. So you always bring your prior life lessons forward. And in fact, if you want to be a famous person this lifetime and want to be a singer, you can certainly put all that on your life path. But you always bring all those energies forward. But let's just say, I think I'm reading into the question here. If they're saying, if I was famous and a famous singer, do I bring that famous singer energy into this lifetime? It's part of your prior life experience, but you may choose a different life lesson this time. Number 12. Curious about people with multiple personalities that are tapping into past lives. Were they just old souls coming up to help them? What's going on with this? Is this a medical problem within the brain? Yes, I mean, this is a multi-layered brain or medical problem. So this is not prior personalities or prior lifetime personalities coming through. This has to do with a medical issue or problem in this lifetime. And many times this will come up because the individual is trying to mask pain or something for some other severe trauma in life. So very often these multiple personalities are there because it's protecting, they're trying to protect that person, but it's a medical issue in this lifetime. Number 11, do spirit guides stay as guides, or do they ever choose to incarnate in human form on occasion to learn additional experiences? Yes, it's been my experience that guides, many times spiritual guides, not to be confused with birth angels, spiritual guides many times have walked the planet thousands of years ago and risen through many lifetimes to become spiritual guides. It's like learning a discipline or a skill in life, and then you rise to that level. Now, in some cases, guides may choose to come back to provide additional assistance, let's say here on the ground. But typically, once they get to a guide level, many times they decide to stay as guides on the other side. Now, by the way, not to be confused with birth angels, which did not walk the planet necessarily, very high energetic beings that are here to help, but different than spiritual guides. So hopefully that's helpful. Number 10, a few years ago, I was in bed asleep and I woke up to see something standing near my bed. The individual was wearing a long robe that was illuminated. The sight startled me, and the image just sort of floated away from me and disappeared. Well, this week I had a similar incident. I fell asleep in my chair and woke up to see a small illuminated object floating in front of me. It also floated away from me and disappeared. What are your thoughts about this? Do you think the two incidents are connected? Well, they are. That was part of your spiritual team. That, for me, resonates as that was one of your birth angels coming around. And most notably, that might have been, you might have requested their presence, or may have been a time that, you wanted to see or talk with one of your birth angels. So that was, for me, that was an angelic figure coming around to visit you. Number 9 in our top 35 countdown. When is the Colorado River water level going up again? Arizona needs more water for our farmers. So I've talked about this in other shows, but we're going through about a 5-year drought problem, kind of a significant drought problem. Now, that does not mean that we're not going to see some rain. And I do see some rain coming up more significantly towards the end of this year and then in the beginning of next year. But we're going to go through cycles, and it's going to take about a 5-year term here to kind of get things in a much better situation. So, yeah, I mean, rain's going to help towards the end of this year, but we'll still be in a bit of a drought problem for 5 years. Number 8, I was in a nasty car accident last weekend. I somehow walked out virtually unscathed. Did my guides and angels protect me from the severity of the crash? Absolutely. This is a great example of how your birth angels, one of their primary jobs, they stay with you for life. Unlike guides will trade out as you go through life, depending on what you need, what expertise. But birth angels stay with you for life, and their primary job is to keep you on the planet, so you don't leave at the wrong exit point. And birth angels are the very ones that will join, for example, paramedics at an accident scene if someone is near death and they're not supposed to die. And that angel will then help save that person's life. The other paramedics there will think it's another paramedic, and as soon as they turn around, that angel's gone. But this is a great example of how angels, your birth angels, stick around you. If it's not your exit point, they help you. Number 7, when we reincarnate, can we immediately come back as a family member? So interesting here, typically adults that pass on don't usually come back for many decades. In my experience, that adults that will pass on don't usually come back right away. In more cases than not, I do see children that pass away, and children seem to come back very, very quickly. So young children, sometimes, 12 or less, or 10 years of age or less, many times if they're less than a year old or 1 or 2, they seem to come back, and many times they will come back to another family member. So if it was your child maybe that you lost, it might come back to a sister of yours. And that sister will have that baby. So yeah, again, so a little different for me, whether it's adults that are reincarnating, they don't reincarnate very quickly, but children seem to reincarnate much faster. Number 6, why do intuitives, psychics, and mediums tend to have some event happen at the age of 6? Well, not sure what this references, but I've seen this all the time, is that we're all born psychic mediums. We actually all have the ability at birth. What happens, though, at about 5 or 6 years of age, most individuals put the gift down. They stop using it. And so if you're meant, let's say, to utilize the gift in a much more public way to help a lot of people at a larger scale, at 5 or 6, you might have some sort of an experience. Has been my experience, is that what will happen is they'll push you forward. So instead of putting down the gift, it'll give you a push forward so you keep using it. So that's my inference from whoever asked this question. 5, how long before conditions in Cuba change and the quality of life improves for its citizens? Well, I do see significant progress in a few years here. It's within 5 years, and that's kind of a 5 to 10 year run. But what happens for me during that time is the world nations get more involved in Cuba, and then Cuba tends to be more willing to work with the world. So, right now the government in place does not necessarily work with the world very well. But I do see that shifting over the next 5 to 10 years. So, the good news, I think you're going to see some good movement in a number of years here that's going to be very thought-provoking and positive for Cuba. Number 4, will the Delta variant come under better control with the booster shot? And will we see numbers of infections and deaths start to fall even dramatically? Well, a couple things here. The Delta variant for me will have its peak over the next 45 to 60 to 90 days, so to speak. So we haven't seen the peak of the Delta variant, certainly here in the US and other parts of the world. And so then as we get towards the end of the year, the Delta variant will start to relax and Lambda will be even more of a concern. I do see more and more people getting vaccinated, but the key is here that the boosters are going to keep everybody safe, but it's not necessarily going to have a huge effect on Delta. So everybody's got to be very, very careful. And the boosters are going to help keep people away from severe illness and hospitalizations and incubators. But we're still in a bit of a process here. So the boosters will not dramatically affect or change the cycle we're seeing here on Delta. But overall, the vaccines and the boosters are going to keep people kind of out of the hospital and away from death. Number 3, our top 35 countdown. What is causing the loud boom noises heard around the country? And I have seen reports of this. And what my team tells me, what my guides and angels tell me, is this is U.S. government weapons testing. So these are some very advanced weapons that are being tested. They're energy wave weapons, and they're really being done to test new types of defense for the U.S. from all sorts of enemies. So whether they're enemies from other nations or something else, so coming from the skies, if you will. For me, these loud booms are all about advanced U.S. weapons testing. And obviously, I don't see the government admitting that that's what they are, but this is being done, and they're trying to do it in secrecy, but because of the scale of the weapons, these booms are being experienced around the world. Number 2, do you see anything coming up next week? A follow-up to still a significant number of earthquakes occurring around the world and around the U.S. Following the Ring of Fire, we're going to see a scaling up of earthquakes. I do see more information coming out regarding 45 and his administration and the interplay with Afghanistan and some of the things that we've seen going on there. And I do see some more developments around the infrastructure bill and some sort of negotiation and modification there. So I know that bill is going back down now to the House for review. And number 1 in our top 35 countdown, do you have anything your guides want to share with us? Well, here again, a simple message. Make sure you try to live on the love side of the equation, not the fear side of the equation. The whole universe runs on love and fear. But when you live on the love side, you do whatever you can to kind of understand best ways to try to help move the world forward. The fear side is all about, let's say, retracting and getting involved in hate and reducing your energetic level. So try to stay on the love side of the equation, and this will eventually help move the world towards peace and harmony. So again, a pleasure getting together with everybody. I wish everybody a lot of goodwill, a lot of love. For anybody that wants to book a session with me, it's very easy, sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the Book Online tab. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell so you're aware of when these videos come up. Again, doing a video on August 22nd with Lilac Lantern and Linda Grindle, another Dead Famous show. So until next week, I'll see you. Again, wishing a lot of goodwill, a lot of love, and take care.